everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the MACE Podcast. I'm your host, Marco Macente, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. I'm so honored and thrilled to welcome to the MACE Podcast a senior leader, a senior executive, a role model for many of you in the audience, Terttu Haring from the Netherlands. Terttu is the president of Clinical Sites and Patients at Syneos Health. In her role, Terttu leads the global clinical operations organization to drive exceptional delivery, quality, and data integrity for customers while ensuring a positive experience for sponsors, sites, and patients. Terttu has over 25 years of experience in the clinical development ecosystem, having seen clinical trials from several angles in research site, larger pharma, and the CRO setting, including as an investigator and a research director. By managing local and regional teams in the Netherlands, Europe, and Africa, she was able to oversee global trial operations and data management activities and pushing digital innovations to clinical operations. She received her MD from the Maastricht University in the Netherlands, and she's based in Amsterdam. We will cover amazing topics such as leadership, diversity, equity, and inclusion when it comes to women advancement and women empowerment. And she will share with us her insights to what 2024 will bring to the pharma industry. Please enjoy our conversation.
Hi, Terttu. How are you? And welcome to the MACE Podcast. It is a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Marco. It's a real pleasure to be on your show.
Thanks a lot, Terttu. I was looking forward to this interaction, and I have already shared with the audience a little bit of your background and your experience, and I'm sure that the audience would like to know better and a little bit more about your journey. So, can you share with us what is your journey all about, becoming a senior leader in the pharma industry in clinical trials, and what inspired you to pursue this career path, Terttu?
Yeah, thank you, Marco. It is, of course, a career path that not a lot of people think of when they study medicine like I did. And as the first person on all sides of my family to actually even go to university and to pursue a career in medicine, there was not a lot of examples that I had in front of me. Yeah. But I quickly realized that may have been actually a really interesting, good thing, because it was a blank opportunity for me to find what really drives me.
Yeah.
And already during my studies in medical school in Maastricht, I noticed that I did more research projects than my fellow students. I did more electives in clinical research topics. And also another thing that I found myself stand out in is that I was always looking for international connections and working in an international medical students associations and traveling for my studies and doing internships and electives in West Africa, in Finland. So I think that those two things shaped me during my studies. And after a couple of years work in the hospital, when I was at a point where I had to basically define my career path forward, I very much by chance found a clinical pharmacology unit that was looking for research physicians for principal investigators. And I thought, okay, I'll try that. I think I'll fit there, and then I'll think what I want to do with the rest of my life. But in that job, in clinical pharmacology, both all the research as well as the whole international aspect came together. And when people asked me, do you miss the patients in the hospital? Did you not train to be a doctor to be working for patients? I very quickly realized that in the world of clinical development, we work for so many patients. We work for all the patients of the future that are waiting for the products. But also, we are here to make a difference for the patients that are actually in all the clinical trials.
Yeah.
So that was a starting point where I really found my thing. And from there, through consulting, through medical monitoring, through leading a local team in the Netherlands, moving through some different roles in a big pharma company, it is an absolute pleasure to be here today with Syneos Health as the president for Sites and Patients, because that is where I started at a site, and that is what we do it for all the patients. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks a lot for sharing. So we can say that your journey is amazing. You have a clear destination where you're heading to, right? Which are the patients, of course, are the real stakeholders, and that you have always in your mind. And we will come back to that a little bit later. Making a connection with your journey, let's deep dive into another topic that I feel that is important also for you, Terttu. So speaking about diversity, and equity and inclusion, which is a topic that we know that now companies and organizations all around the world, they strive to have a diversity and an inclusive workplace. What are the things that you think can change the approach we have in the pharma industry to allow more equity and equality in our workplace, Terttu?
Thank you. That is a really interesting question, especially because I think a lot of people in this industry look around and they see a lot of women work in this field. There is a lot of women in the sites, in the study sites, in the site staff, in our clinical staff, in our project management staff. A lot of women. So people may ask, why do we need this even to discuss this?
Yeah.
That are so well represented everywhere. I do, however, think that there is a real opportunity to also for the women in the industry to move to the next levels, to the senior management levels, to the executive levels, because that is where you see the percentages switch.
Yeah.
And there are phenomenal men in this industry. There's absolutely nothing that I can say about the men in this industry. But if we want to have the executive levels, the executive committees, the executive leadership teams, the senior leadership teams have the same reflection as all of the people doing the more day-to-day work. We need to believe in the women. We need to invite the women. However, what I think is really important is that we also have that reflection of the workforce in the executive levels and in the executive leadership and in the executive committees and on the boards of directors, etc., of the companies in this industry. And of course, when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, it is not just the male versus female. There's a lot of other diversity that I think we have a long way to go. Representation from different countries, representation from different socioeconomic levels, representation from different colors and appearances of how we look. Representation from people with disabilities, people from the LGBTQI community, and the talent is everywhere. So the talent sits only with the leadership that we have today. So what is for me critically important that we continue to look for what people bring to the table, the attitude, the enthusiasm, the ethics, the work ethic, the patient commitment.
Yeah.
And it matters less where you live, what color you have, who you love, what gender you are or choose to be. It is, there's just so many opportunities. And I think the biggest task we have is to invite everybody to that executive level and to not only say you need the experience or you need to be based in the headquarters or you need to have worked in so many different fields in this many areas, because there's so many other things that people can bring to the table. And that is an important element to recognize, that we also change the paradigm on which we select our executive leaderships, and that we open the doors for everybody with the right mindsets, attitudes, and talents to be a leader in this industry.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot for sharing that, Terttu, because data actually show that, right? We have a lot of women in the pharma industry, but when we look at the leadership levels, the numbers are going to switch, right? So making a workplace more diverse and more inclusive means also allowing women, but people with disabilities, so allowing humans, let's say, right? Not depending on the gender, not depending on the orientation, but allowing humans to get get everywhere, wherever the talent is there. So I totally agree with this approach.
And then I think we sell ourselves short as long as we don't do that, because it means that we leave a lot of talents and insights unused in this industry. So it is also for the really not only for the best of our employees, but for the best of us as an industry.
Yeah.
Diverse.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing. So let's move on, because connected to this big topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and of course, we spoke about talents. One of the things that I wanted to ask you is the role of mentorship, of mentors, because I know that you have something to say, right, about those kind of topics. What role do you believe mentorship plays in career development? And have you had any influential mentors throughout your own journey, Terttu?
Oh, that is absolutely true, Marco. Mentors play a key role. And yes, I've been very fortunate to have some very important mentors for me from the very start, from the day I joined the clinical pharmacology unit over 25 years ago. Somebody who taught me what is clinical development, what is clinical pharmacology, how do you write a protocol, what are customers looking for when they select a phase 1 partnership. So yes, there was a lot of learning, and a mentor who believes in you, and a mentor who also sees what it is that you have to invest in and what you have to learn is absolutely key. And then also a mentor who opens doors for you, a mentor who shows you what the bigger world out there looks like, and a mentor who exposes you to things that may not always be directly your job, but is the next level and gives you that visibility on the big picture of what we're doing. But I've also noticed that it's not just mentors that really make a big difference. When I think in over the past 25 years to the people who've been key to my personal development journey and for opening doors for me, it has been mentors. It has also been coaches, and I think coaches have a different role because they're a lot about your personal growth and how do you develop as a person in the challenges that you see in your work life or in the work-life balance. Managers are critically important to provide opportunities, to give you stretch assignment, to see what you can do and what you can do more. But then there's also two groups that I'd really like to call out that I don't think we recognize enough. Everybody needs cheerleaders in their career development. Everybody needs people who believe in them, and everybody needs people who are enthusiastic and who are keen and supportive of the things that you do. And it can be in your peer group, it can be in other parts of the organization. They can also be your team members. So that supportive feel, that cheerleadership. And then another very important group of people that I've seen in my development and my career are role models. People who do things that you really look up to and say, wow, I wish I could do that. Oh, wow, look at the impact they're having. Oh, wow, see how they're communicating that and that topic so that it gets all the buy-in and to see role models and to be able to understand what makes them successful and what drives them and how they get what they are getting, and be able to learn, model yourself towards that. So I really think that everybody, as you progress your career, you need these 5 categories. You need mentors, you need coaches, you need managers, you need cheerleaders, and you need role models.
Yeah, thanks a lot for splitting such a kind of information, because many people are confused, right, from what the people are supposed to have when speaking about mentorship and speaking about cheerleaders. So thanks a lot for explaining, and I'm sure that the audience will treasure this information as I will. Now, let's move on, because I have another question for you, Terttu. Looking ahead, what do you envision for the future of clinical trials, and how do you see your role evolving in response to the potential changes or advancements in the field?
I'd like to link back, Marco, to what we just discussed about the people that we have working in this industry and how diverse and how the opportunities in this industry should really be open to everybody who has the right talent and the mindset and the knowledge. And the same should apply and will apply more and more to the patients that we are working for in clinical trials. There are so many patients in different parts of the world and in different parts of countries where we already work that don't have access to clinical trials, and for whom a clinical trial really can be a life-changing treatment option. Also, in order to make sure that when we submit the dossiers to the regulators, that we know that all the patients that will be future users of this product have been represented in the population where the drug was studied, is going to be more and more important. And if it is not from a regulator perspective, it should be from an ethical perspective for all of us.
Yeah.
So I think the industry is going to move further and further towards a patient-centric approach, moving from a site-centric approach to a patient-centric approach. And what that means is that we have to rethink a lot of the things that we do and a lot of the collaborations that we have, and maybe even some of the roles that we have within the industry.
Yeah.
And I see it as my distinct responsibility and also challenge for me to be one of those leaders who drives that change as a leader in one of the major healthcare service provider companies.
Yeah.
That Syneos Health is. We have a responsibility to open up the potential of new ways of working, of innovative ways of working, to all of the companies that have compounds that the patients are waiting for.
Yeah.
Because I know bigger pharma companies, they are investing in innovation and new ways of working. But there's so many small companies, biotech, startups that have promising compounds. And I see it really as our role in Syneos Health to leverage the opportunities that we have nowadays for all of the compounds that come to our table.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And I agree totally with you, Terttu. This is the future, and we need to embrace, right? That's such a kind of approach in order to make sure that we are successful and we can make the difference in our industry. So thanks a lot for sharing, Terttu. Such a kind of insights. Let's move on, because I have another question for you, and I would like to get an insight, because you are a senior leaders, you have more than 20 years of experience in the industry. If you could change one thing, Terttu, what would you advise to drive a change in our industry? What can we do as individuals to challenge the status quo?
Thank you, Marco. I love the question, because every individual in this industry has an opportunity to make a difference, and it doesn't matter where you live, what you have. You can all make a difference. We can all make a difference. And what I would really, really, really like to see in every individual in this industry is that we all start our day when we open our laptop and think, what can I do today for the patients? What can I do today for the patients that are in my trial, for the patients that are waiting for this product, for the patients that we're collecting endpoints from, the patients whose data we are cleaning? How can we make a difference for these patients? And that is not just about being enrolled in a site. It also means making sure we don't have quality issues that jeopardize the usability of the data that we collect. It also means having the fastest processes in place to shorten the distance from lab to life.
Yeah.
It also means that we don't burden our sites with administrative, tedious tasks that take away their time from the patients that they should be looking after. So every single person can make a difference for patients. And I think that individual dedication is something I would really, really like to see more and more in our industry. This is not just a job. This is a way to change people's lives.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I love hearing that we as individuals can make the difference, and not depending on the role, not depending on what we do, but depending on what we feel from inside. Because, of course, the passion is what brings and what drives things forward. So, and I'm sure that also it has been the passion, right, that allowed you, to push things forward and to drive things forward and reach such a kind of outcomes and accomplishments that you have had in all your journey. So thanks a lot, Terttu. It has been a pleasure to have you. I'm sure that the audience will treasure this information as I will. Please stay connected, stay in touch, and I look forward to meeting you, who knows, maybe one day in person. And I will share more details with the audience about the episode, because this is something special. Thanks a lot, Terttu.
Thank you, Marco, for having me. Thank you.
Bye-bye.